Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabant Leadership. Thanks for joining the program. Appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about China, another update. Most of the videos, we're going to be talking about race, though, a little bit about economics. It just is a topic. We'll do other topics about China, but race is important. Anyway, in terms of also current events that we could talk about is, and again, it goes into the whole China topic, and that is there is going to be, you're going to see it, believe it now, believe it later, it's going to happen. Even Donald Trump admits it too. There's going to be a change. The New World Order is going to be created and it's going to go into a multipolar world. It is what it is. And part of that is, think of Donald Trump and this war with Iran. How successful do you think this is? Remember George W. Bush with the second Persian Gulf War in Iraq? What an absolute horrible disaster that was. And yet he says mission accomplished. Think about it. If you're MAGA, of course I'm focused on MAGA now, who support president. Did we win the war? How's the war in Iran going? What is this about? Now we're going to go back, and I've said many times, this war is going to end similar in many fashions, but I think it's going to be even worse than Afghanistan. It's going to be a complete and total failure. You're going to see it. But anyway, it just seems to be, and you know that the war is, and we'll do another video on that later, because it's not going to get over soon, and it could escalate even more than you can believe based upon Donald Trump's, you could say, temperament. It's going to end in absolute disaster. But think about it. I've kept saying many times, America is the most powerful military in the world. But guess what? Just like the fall of the American empire, there's a fall of the military. And once the military is no longer as lethal and powerful as the world thinks, and it's in a decline, then the US dollar's done. Because the US dollar, I keep saying it, it's not backed by gold anymore, even though I believe there's going to be a new system. And that system will be gold backed. I believe it will be a gold/crypto system. But the regular fiat currency in America is done. And the only thing backing is the US military, and the US military is in decline. We won't talk so much about it, but I'll do a video on Iran. And what did I predict on Iran? Total disaster. Don't think so? How would you rate this war? You can't say it's a victory. Remember, General MacArthur, there's no substitute for victory in war. It's either a victory or it's a failure. So was the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war a victory? Then it's a failure. Look at Iran. It's obviously not a victory. It's still going on. Complete failure. Give it time. And it's a microcosm of the American empire. And more countries are going to start again devaluing themselves away from the US dollar. The US dollar will still, just like America, I still believe America and the US dollar and even the US military will always be a major, substantial regional power. But the days of America, the dollar being the dominant power, the American military being the dominant power, now it's going to go. It's going to change into a regional world. Just is what it is. So let's go on there. I see Abe Birdman, David. Yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate the encouragement, Abe Birdman. Let's just go into the first clip here about China in terms of the economy. Just a quick clip here.
In business tonight, China has announced fresh measures to push the global use of the yuan and better manage domestic money market liquidity. The country's top finance leaders in Shanghai for an annual forum. Our senior correspondent Tan Yuguan reports.
Lu Jiazui is one of China's top financial policy forums, starring speakers from China's central bank, financial regulators, as well as Shanghai's top officials. But this year, Vice Premier He Lifeng makes a rare appearance, the first central government vice premier to speak in person at the event in 7 years. His presence immediately lifts the tone of the event from sector-level policy discussions to broader national economic signaling. And the message is consistent. China wants to push financial opening and support companies going global, but within a tightly managed framework. The Vice Premier says the government will help improve cross-border trade and investment in Shanghai, a significant move in a country where cross-border money flows are restricted.
在上海开展更加灵活的贸易外汇结算试点，以及跨境再保险收入境外投资便利化试点，将跨国公司跨境资金集中运营管理试点推广至上海，便利跨国公司跨境资金统筹使用。
The vice premier also vows to tackle local government debt and said another 300 billion yuan in special bonds will be issued to replenish the capital of financial institutions. China's central bank governor also took to the podium, announcing a series of measures, including a tool to enable overseas central banks, sovereign wealth funds, and international financial organizations to obtain yuan liquidity more easily.
我们还将丰富离岸人民币债转、衍生品供给，支持香港建设全球离岸人民币业务枢纽，在境外形成有深度和活跃度的离岸人民币市场。我们将加强开放条件下的金融稳定保障体系和能力建设，守住不发生系统性风险的底线。
Observers see China's gradual steps to internationalize the yuan as a bid to reduce its dependence on a global payment system dominated by the US dollar. On China's slowing loan growth, the central bank leader said it's difficult and unnecessary for China's credit growth to maintain its previous pace. Tan Yu-Guan, CNA, Shanghai.
So what you're going to see is they are going to, again, when I say they, I'm talking about predominantly China, but also there is a new world. We could call it BRICS, obviously the Russia, where the world's similar, where these could be drum beats, probably eventually. I mean, World War III, we had World War I, World War II, but the world is going to go one, multipolar, two, it's going to almost split into two spheres. This brings up like a World War II, the Axis and the Allies. And then, is there going to be another boom? You think wars ever end? So what's this decoupling is let's just think financial. America has the SWIFT system where everything that's dependent on the SWIFT system is going through the banks of all the way through New York and then the US dollar. And that dependency, and this makes sense. It doesn't matter if you were China or even if you were one of our allies like the UK. If you want your country to grow and get strong, do you always want to be dependent on an American system, the US dollar? It just doesn't make sense because America, and this is not about Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what president. This is going to be the evolution of America's downfall in the history books. More and more countries are not trusting America, especially in terms of what we're doing in terms of warfare. So hence there's going to be a decoupling, and China makes sense. They want to be independent. That's why a lot of these goals, I could tell you one thing, this is not a finance channel, but part of leadership is finance. I'm telling you something. Remember, I think before there was debate, remember the crypto people were against gold? Now, I am for crypto. I'll explain it though, and that's another video. You just say crypto, it's like the Jews. You say Jews, you say crypto, everyone goes wild with conspiracy theories. But there was an attack years ago, crypto attacking gold. I don't know where that came. I don't know what these people. Gold has been a store of value in the human existence for thousands of years. And I could tell you, my 15 plus years in China, there is no doubt that the Chinese, and it's also in non-Western countries too, like India, value gold even more than America. And during this time of decoupling from the US dollar, I'm telling you, the amount of gold that's being accumulated, China wants to set up to be Hong Kong, a global gold reserve currency, a gold trading post where in Hong Kong, gold will be so manifested in terms of global trading. So my point is I know gold hit, I think it was like 5,000, went down to 4,000, something like that. I have no doubt. I'm looking at 10,000 or above for gold. Again, and people are talking about silver. I don't want to talk too much about it. It's another topic we could do. But the point is this decoupling from the US dollar, what is it going to be? Part of it's going to be gold. It's going to be gold packed. Gold is going to come back. And I think we all know too, that the Trump administration or whatever the next administration it's going to be, the Democrats or whatever, something has got to change. This US dollar and this printing ain't going to be. So that's it in terms of China. Let's now go into race. Now, the key question is why is so race important? Let me explain to you why China, this is again where people also beat the drums of China, where the fear mongering, that China's going to take over the world and this and this. And this goes into the racial component of these videos on China. And that is, in some ways, for the sake of simplicity, I feel like China and America are on two different spectrums. America, because they're on one side of the spectrum, it's called globalism. Yes, we're globalists. Globalism, communism, feminism, all that stuff, this global cap, that's who we are. We are globalists. it's going to end because we've embraced globalism. Our system's going to end. But on the other perspective, and I'm a nationalist, China embraces nationalism. They're never going to be the world power. So what do I mean by that? Because you have total opposites of the equation. Globalism in America has supplanted America. In fact, that was one of the biggest platforms of Trump. Patriotism, patriotism, nationalism, America first. What do I think? I think he fell far short. But who else is going to do better than Trump? I don't think anyone. Meaning, this is what we have, people. We have this system in America called global. It's unstoppable. No one is going to stop this system called globalist America unless guns and ammo, revolution, or collapse. It's unstoppable. China's got this system called nationalism. And if you study nationalism, you realize it will never be a world power. Why? One of the elements is race. Because the China dream, unlike the American dream, is different. The China dream generally is for the Chinese people first, and then there'll be other non-Chinese people. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the American corporations have definitely made a lot out on the Chinese dream, but it's China first. Meaning, if you really want to look at this slogan like Donald Trump, America first, which I think is turning more and more into a joke, China first is real. Like, China first doesn't even need to be sold, meaning a political ideology like, hi, we're Xi Jinping and this is China first. It's obvious. You don't even have to say it in China. It's everyone knows it, from the citizens all the way to the government. It's China first. In America, it's not. And because of it's China first, their level of growth and ambition is not going to be what we inherited from the globalist empire of Britain. It's just different. You'll see, because we have to talk about race, because when you have a globalist system, guess what? We're indoctrinated that race is not real. Don't think so? Let's just do this first video. I think this is interesting. And like I said, I focus on MAGA because MAGA portrays themselves as nationalism, or at least the Democrats. I don't know, I guess they're communists or whatever. You get what I mean. But at least MAGA, Trump, this is Make America First. These are the national. So if this is what we consider in the West nationalism, oh, it's over, people. It's so over. Let's just do this quick video right here. This gets along to it, because you got to remember, the reason I focus again on race, which on many other topics, is in leadership. Like we learn at West Point, what's the first thing you do in leadership? You build the team, you build the tribe, you build the country. And what do I keep saying the problem in America? I don't know who an American citizen is. We have 350 million people of diversity because we're communists. Diversity is our strength. We drank the Kool-Aid. I don't know what an American is anymore. And even if you ask MAGA people, it's everyone, as long as you're rich. That's why MAGA loves legal immigration. Basically, if you have money, which really goes to our ideology, it's basically about money. But who are we? If we are going to say, we Americans, we use this word we have to define that. China's pretty simple. When they say we Chinese, it's a very, and that's the first thing we do. That's probably why you also think about it. Think of what people when they join the military. And the military has a bit of fascism. There's no doubt about it. Anyone who served in the military knows there's fascism. But you shave your head, you take away your individual identity, and you come together. Where diversity is not a strength, it's unity. Where in America, through this individualism and communism, I don't know in America, every race, every religion, every gender, every this, every that. What does it mean? It's basically a toilet bowl. I mean, we've turned into a toilet. Everyone sees it. Most Americans say, we say we Americans, but really at the end of the day, we have to double think and think, I don't know. China's different. Okay, so let's take a look at this quick clip. This is MAGA here, and you show me where when we talk about MAGA, when they look, okay, so think about it. It's very cool. We have to do this clip, and then we have to go through the race in China, but this is MAGA. Now, MAGA likes to say that gender is real and genders are different. Can't argue with that. Anyone with a high school degree who's probably studied basic biology knows that gender's real, the genders are different, and that's about it. I don't even need to get into how they're different. Let the experts talk about that. Guess what race is? It's more than the color of your skin. That's why we could do a DNA test of a dead body, an autopsy where the body's been, has no skin, it's been decomposing. Guess what? We could find out African, European, Asian. So gender is real and there's difference. Can we not come to the basic? I mean, even I don't want to do a tangent here. Charlie Kirk, and we could say good stuff about Charlie Kirk, but I also think this guy was definitely a political weapon or tool by the MAGA Republicans. Even he does not want to say race is real. There's clips on him later. I don't know. Are you kidding me? High school education, race is real. If there wasn't real, then we wouldn't have racism, which is good or bad. So gender is real and gender is different. Can we not come to a common sense? The Jews think so. Man, you talk to the Jews, it's unbelievable. It's like everyone in this world believes that race is real and the races are different. Again, we don't like to get into who's better or not. It's your free speech. If you want to do it, I'm not going to stop you. But I don't think it's my place to say that. Let the scientists or expert figure that out, or the school of public opinion. But can we not say that race is real and races are different? If you cannot say that, we cannot. It's like in the military, you're building a team. If we cannot come to these, like gender, right? If we cannot come to these basic foundations of, I don't even want to say ideology, I'd probably say science, basic science. Gender is real and race is real. You would think it would be so easy. It's easy in China. Oh my God. Race is so real in China. It's on your ID card, because most people don't know that in China, they also have sub-races. It's 95% Han Chinese, but you've heard of the Tibetans, you've heard of the Uyghurs, you've heard of the Mongolians. There's like subsets. There's about 56 ethnic minorities. That's listed on your ID card, what your race is. What do I think? Pretty real. What's the problem? So again, let's go to this clip. This is MAGA. And this is where, like I told you before, this is where the liberals, which again, sometimes I don't feel like I'm the enemy of the liberals. We're different. We're just different. And let's just have a divorce and let them make their own states. But this one, these people, these liberals, Trevor Noah, he makes sense. And he makes the MAGA people look like libtards, like retards. Here we go.
To me, true diversity, I've never looked down on someone because of their skin color. To me, true diversity is diversity of thought, not diversity of color. I don't see color. I go after Hillary Clinton and she's white as they come.
You don't see color. So what do you do at a traffic light? I don't believe in that at all.
If you take Trevor Noah out, he's totally right, by the way. If you take him out and you replace him with a Chinese person, it'd be the same way. Like if you went to now remember this, this is how retarded this society. I'm a West Point graduate, military veteran trying to report government corrupt. Like I've even got emails I should show you where I'm trying to persuade the government. I know I'm on the federal watch list and they're hiding it. I don't want to get to the story, but here we got this woman named Tommy Lauren. I don't know what value she adds, but because she's pushed by the machine, here she is, millions of followers, but meaning she's not the normal MAGA person. She is what you would consider the superstar of MAGA. She would be considered a spokesperson for MAGA. So what she said, yeah, that's Donald Trump. That's all these MAGA politicians where they would say race isn't real, race doesn't matter. As long as you're rich and you pay your taxes and follow the law, we don't care because we're a corporation. I mean, again, MAGA loves legal immigration. They love it. But here you have, so this is not a normal American. This is not a normal Republican. This is a superstar spokesman, Fox News for MAGA. And this person is saying she doesn't see color, race isn't real. I tell you, the Chinese talk to me like, are you people retarded? Like they don't even get it. And here you've got a guy, Trevor Noah, and I can tell you, me and Trevor are not going to agree on a lot of things. Again, I would never give Trevor Noah, I don't know if he's an American citizen, I would have never given him American citizenship, but Leadership 101, you focus on the principles. What is Trevor Noah? He's 100% correct. If you don't believe that race is real, what do I do with you? I mean, this is where the Chinese, now don't get me wrong, the Chinese government, amongst others, they know that racism is a Achilles heel, particularly for the white people. They know that. And they strategically push immigration in America. I get that. But that's not the Chinese fault, because what do I keep saying? Well, first of all, it's the American government. It's our government that needs to seal the borders and do immigration. But I keep saying, if you're a white person and you're, lack of a better word, a white nationalist, the first people that will be in your face calling you a white supremacist will be white people. No doubt, it's not going to be the Chinese. These Chinese are some of the most racist people in the world. That's not a negative statement. So I'm telling you, if you did that, they would be like, that's what we do in China. But anyway, so I needed to play that clip because before we get to these racial topics, and I give Donald Trump credit, he did move the needle in a lot of these politically incorrect jargons. He did move the needle. Remember the seal the southern border, the Mexicans, the rapists, a lot of it. Yeah, there's comments. So I give him credit, but there's something happening in his campaign, especially, I don't know if it's Israel, compromise, bribe, there's something that's faltering here that he's going back to the globalism, but I still give him credit. But we have to go back to the basic tenets. If we cannot, and when I say we, I'm not talking about 350 Americans. It's past it. It's past that. But if we cannot even come to these basic tenets, this is what you start when you start with a unit, when you start with a team, you build your tribe. You have to remember, even in religion, the 10 commandments, like God, there has to be some basic, we say in the FBI, bright line rules. If we cannot agree, and this is where I do think MAGA is doing the right thing with gender, they're pushing that gender is real. Of course it's real. Why can't we do that with race? It's as real as day. And until we could go there, we're going to be living like we're 10-year-old, or I guess you'd say 5-year-old kids, believing that Santa Claus is still coming and delivering. He's climbing down the chimney with his fat ass, delivering our presents. Like, what do you do? It's like dealing with children. This is what I'm saying. The way the Chinese talk to me about America, just like the MAGA people call these people, I guess, libtards, the Democrats. Yeah, MAGAs too. It's liberally retarded. Okay, don't think so. Let's just talk about a couple things. Now, I do want to mention, I'm going to say some stuff about China, and I want you to know, when I call the Chinese racist, that is not a negative term. I said many times, everybody's racist, every country's racist, but there are intensity levels. We, as white people in America, probably the lowest in the world, which is dangerous. And if you get too high racism, that's probably also dangerous. That could be China. China takes racism to a new level, but it's their country and they're obviously doing things right. But I want you to know that this term racism, what you call racism, other people call patriotism. What you call attacks or hatred for other people, patriots would say, no, it's a love of my people. Has nothing to do with hating your people. It's a love of my people. I mean, I don't hate the Chinese. Why would I hate the Chinese? Why would I hate Africans? Why would I hate this? I get it why some people hate the Jews. I get that part. They push an agenda. But generally speaking, most white people that I know don't hate other races, but they love their own race and they want to protect it. So I mentioned, when I call the Chinese racist, that's not necessarily a negative term, but it is saying it's in a different reality. And if you're an American, you have no clue what it is there. And it's changed me. And until we could talk about these basic leadership political topics in America, we've got to come with two basic conclusions. Again, gender is real and race is real. If you cannot agree with that, I don't even know if I want to waste my time talking with you. I would just say, good luck. You take that ideology, which America is going to fall, and good luck. But we know it's not going to work. It's going to get worse. So let's talk with these Asian girls. Now, I've mentioned many before. Asian women in the West hate a guy like me, which would make you wonder why. That doesn't make sense. I've learned their culture. I've learned their language. They should like me. For the same reason that I see a lot of people like, he went to China. He's working for the Chinese. He's a spy. Well, think about it. In any line of work, don't you need to have experts who understand an expert field? If I didn't go to China and become an expert in this field, which is what I wanted to do, how would you know about China? CNN, Fox News, or listening to the CIA, FBI yo-yo on TV? Like literally, if it wasn't for people like me, and this is a fields of all fields, you got to get your feet on the ground, boots on the ground. You have to learn it. So if I didn't go to China and become a China expert, how would you know about China? Because remember, when I first started studying about China in 1995, China, because it wasn't powerful, nobody cares. Same thing like Donald Trump. The MAGA grifters go to Beijing and they kiss ass. Communism is bad. Fascism is bad. Racism is bad. We don't care. America only cares about money. So China now is becoming powerful. So guess what? More and more people are caring about China. I knew this. China's going to be rising. So if it wasn't like an American going there, do you want to believe a Chinese person? Possibly, but a Chinese person is going to be biased. It just is what it is because they're racial. It's an ethno state. So how would you get your information about China if guys like me don't go? The United States government, all right, good for them. That ain't going to work. The private sector, probably. But you have to ask yourself, if individual Americans didn't go to China and become China experts, how would you get your information? But people, so that's another topic. But let's go with this because, like I said, it is pretty interesting. Asians in the West actually don't like a guy like me. Even, I don't want to do a tangent, but even Donald Trump, good for him. There's this guy named Gordon Chang. This guy needs to be deported, sent back to Asia. Even Donald Trump has been saying this guy, Gordon Chang, is an idiot, is a moron. But generally speaking, Asians in the West actually don't like a guy like me. Why? Well, let's just take a look at this simple bit with girl. Because a lot of times in leadership, start at the low level, understand the low level principles, and then you'll get at the higher level. What are these low levels? Topics like race, topics like gender, even topics like relationships. It all forms. Why? Because in China's Confucius society, family, society, country, it's the building blocks. Our family's destroyed in America. We are now at a civil war in society. Once that's done, we're going to go country. So again, understand these concepts at the ground level first. Here we go.
To admit, Beyonce, please forgive my sin. But looking, I have no doubt that Danish deception guy can scam more money in China. And apparently he did have victims in Shanghai. Because you'll be shocked to find out how many Chinese people worship whiteness.
Okay, so I don't even watch these whole videos. We'll get through. I don't know if there was a scam, this and that. But the key is whiteness worship in China. What do I think? 100%. Trust me, this girl now is in what do I keep saying about Asian girls? They have, generally speaking, now I never said all Asian women. I'm just saying 99%. They have three main wishes: white passport, white man, white children. Here we go.
Specifically putting mediocre white men on pedestal. I'm saying this because I used to be one of them. Okay.
No, don't worry. She still is. And she's absolutely right. If you are a white man and you're in Asia and you cannot get women, something is drastically wrong with you. You could be broke. You could be poor. You could be fat. You could be whatever it is. You will be able to get Asian women. It's not my fault. It's their fault. They worship. Don't fool yourself. This girl worships white men. She still does.
This is so embarrassing to admit. Beyonce, please forgive my sin. But looking back, aside of my people-pleasing and savior complex, being seen with a white man really did make me special in the way that I probably wouldn't feel if I'm with an Indian, Asian, Black, or any other man of color.
If you're an Asian woman, even more specifically a Filipino woman, you've probably experienced that phenomenon of white men coming up to you in public to tell you that they're with a Filipino person. This is something that has happened to me throughout my entire life. Like, literally, male teachers, people, like camp counselors, like random people. And my cousins and I were actually talking about this at a restaurant. And at that moment...
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? That video is longer than I thought. It's going to go through the same thing. We're going to do other videos. Here's the point. It's going to go into the same random thing. I hear this all the time. There is a white complex in Asia. Now, what the Chinese going to do, and this is interesting enough, this is actually why I preferred most of my time to be in Beijing. The problem is mainly in China's changed, and I prefer more to the freedoms in Hong Kong or say Singapore. But there is a caliber of people in Beijing, this would be the government, the home of the government, that are trying to push, and I get it, I totally agree with them. They're trying to push away from this white worship. It's so hard. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, meaning it is so ingrained. It's not just China, it's everywhere in Asia. And I'm sure if you've lived in Africa or India, it's pretty, all the other guys that I know that are expats, they say the same thing. But in Asia, it's almost literally in their bones, the amount of white worship there is. Is that bad or good? Well, it's kind of embarrassing, right? You know, think about if you have a daughter, you said, Dad, I want to marry a white man, and the Asian father's like, why? But it is absolutely everywhere. But in Beijing, they're trying to push away with that. And I get it. I could tell you a couple things. Like, here's one thing. It might not be a big deal, but in Hong Kong, the English is dropping rapidly. No, I'm overstating that. I'm not going to say it's dropping rapidly. The English fluency is dropping. A lot of expats, Western expats, don't like this. What do I think? It's not our country. It's not our country anymore. It's Beijing. And so they want to get away from this colonialization. And don't fool yourself. When I say colonialization, it's positive. Look at all countries that have been colonized by, the Brits or whatever, to include Hong Kongese. Very thankful. But from Beijing, well, they don't want to be a European colony anymore. They want to be Chinese, and one of them is the language. So they're trying to push out even Cantonese. They want to push out Cantonese, push out English, and rise with Mandarin. What do I think about? It makes sense from nationalism. But I just want you to know that this white worship is absolutely so ingrained. And so it goes back to the point about race. Well, there would be no such thing as white worship unless race is real. So if you go to these non-Western countries like Asia, of course race is real. They could spot white men pretty quick, and they like the white race. Anyway, let's keep going on this one.
And we are smart. My husband, he's learning Chinese.
And I'm sure your husband's a white man. I'm 99% white man.
And he's so intimidated by the tones. And I tell you, it doesn't matter. Because Chinese is all about context. And we are smart. We'll help you. Okay, in China, we went to the supermarket. And he tried to use this new word he learned. He buys strawberry. 草莓.
So the joke is the word for strawberry is 草莓, and the word to fuck is 草, and the word for little sister. So they have, Guga is older brother, Didi is younger brother, Jijie is older sister, and Mei Mei is little sister. And they use the word Mei Mei also for, I don't know, pretty little girls, like even meaning it doesn't just mean like a little sister. It could mean like that hot girl. Hey, Xiao Mei Mei. And so the word for strawberry is Cao Mei. Now, obviously, the characters are different, but it sounds very similar. So if you want to use supermarket, well, I Cao Mei, and I'd like to buy a strawberry. Or if you would say something like, of course, this would be vulgar language, like, well, Cao Ni de Mei or Cao Mei. It would be like, I want to fuck, your sister or fuck that young little girl. She makes a joke. But what do I think about this? And this is why you get China experts like me, because here's the deal. If you're a white guy and you're like, David, do I need to learn the Chinese language or Asian languages to get Asian girls? No, none. Don't worry about it. You could go there and just speak English. They are so, in fact, a lot of Asian girls find it much more sexier for a white man to speak English than to speak Chinese, because very few foreigners even speak the Asian language. But they find it. I mean, when I speak Chinese, a lot of girls, especially in the West too, like Asian, they get intimidated with me. Why? Because they would actually prefer to speak English because it's sexy and it's more white. It's a European language. In fact, if you can't speak English, then what's the next? German, French, Italian, something like that. But these girls go goo goo gaga over European languages like English. So even if you don't speak the Asian language, don't worry about it. You're fine. But anyway, we'll keep going with this girl.
But he said, 草莓. Which means
fuck your younger sister.
It's good because he's very he's very specific. Fuck your younger sister. Younger sister. Yeah, not the older one. Yeah.
Well, again, I could tell you stories about that. Let's go on this one. This is interesting. This is a woman, and what I'm trying to do is this, and this is part of leadership. And like I said, I give Donald Trump credit. I believe, even though there is a misjunction with this gender thing, especially feminism, you still have these MAGA female politicians who don't think they're feminists. They're 100% feminists. But overall, I give Donald Trump credit. He is bringing gender up, and he's basically saying gender's real. That's it. It's real. And there's differences. Good. But until we could get to this thing called race, which you have to ask yourself again with free speech, I'm telling you, the amount of free speech in China for the topic of race is on a different dimension than America. We are, particularly white men and white women, but white men are petrified of talking about race. Why? Because we don't want to be called a racist for whatever. And so the point is, until we get to that point where we could say race is real, and that just means we're different. Does that mean you're better? No, I never said that. We're not saying who's better. We're just saying we're different. Africans are different than Europeans and something like that. But anyway, here's a topic of a foreigner in China here who talks a little about racism.
I'm sitting in my dorm room, and now I'm going to show you the reason why I decided to move out of the dorm. The girls that are living with me in the same dorm are super disgusting and dirty, and they never want to clean this hallway area. The bathroom and like the toilet, this washing machine area are always super dirty. How can girls be so fucking disgusting? I don't understand. I asked them a bunch of times, if you want to clean, if you want to ask the cleaner to clean it for us, but they refuse because you have to pay the cleaner 10 RMB each, and they don't want to pay, right? But they also don't want to clean themselves because I'm a Moroccan princess. I'm not gonna clean anything. Bro, shut the fuck up. Have you seen the state of this living room? Have you seen this?
I saw a couple of videos. She's a foreign student. Here's what I would say too. There's a reason why in China, if you look at a Chinese girl and you say something like, hey, are you Thai? Or are you Vietnamese? They're going to get very upset with you. They're going to feel offended. But if you say, hey, are you Japanese? They're going to take it as a compliment. They say, wow, do I look Japanese to you? And you're like, I thought you were Japanese. They'll take it as a compliment. Well, on this topic of cleanliness, what do I keep saying? If you don't know where to go in Asia or getting a girl or doing business with everything, what is the default mechanism for it? It's Japan. Even I go back when I was a West Point cadet and I did an exchange at their military academy, they treated me with utmost respect. I just had a passion for China, and I do believe that the potential of China is going to overlap Japan, but I do hope Japan, and I've said this many times, it's time for them to build up their military and come strong in. But I could tell you, as an American, may have heard rumors about the Japanese. Or it's generally true. They are. So in terms of cleanliness, that's one area, but along with other things. Now, are the Japanese or the Chinese dirty people? Well, compared to Japan, there's definitely a difference, without a doubt. It's hard. I mean, I could tell you some stories. I just don't want to tell you. It's just different because you got to remember, China is a big country and there's different levels of development too. I've lived out in what's called Western China, where people don't even have bathrooms in their homes and they don't have washers in their homes. I was living like near Tibet area. It's different. But then again, I was also living in Shanghai with some people that are so filthy rich. But then again, the term is filthy. Sometimes you could be rich, but you can have what's called in China, 素质那么低. And we've heard that before. You could be rich, but you could still be, what's the English? It's, I don't know. You could still be like a low-level person, lacking manners. So it's still possible to be a rich person and lacking manners. But China's big. It depends where you are. But overall, cleanliness between Japan and China, it's remarkably different. So the problem is Japan. If you go to Japan, it's more expensive. It's more modern. It's also harder to get a Japanese girl. Again, if this is your dream to get an Asian girl, Japanese girl, in fact, I don't want to do a tangent, but I did investigations in Macau. Macau is the gambling hub of Asia. It's 5 times larger than Las Vegas. Gambling is illegal in China, even though they do it black market, which again, we talk about race. I think gambling with the Asian people is something with the DNA. It's their freedom to do it. I'm not a pro gambler. I think gambling is more harm than good. Anyway, Macau, a great way to study women's beauty is to look at the prostitution market. In Macau, prostitution is also legal. And who are the most expensive prostitutes? White women, usually Eastern European women. And then when it gets to the Asian women, who are the most expensive Asian prostitutes? The Japanese. In fact, for the high rollers of the Chinese who go to Macau to gamble, they will literally fly over. Japan has a porn star industry, that's very, if you're a connoisseur of porn, the Japanese, I don't know what it's called. It's all these, but it's very robust. Their porn industry, and those porn star girls are very popular, particularly more in Asia, where these high gambler Chinese men will pay. It's all sort of underground agencies will fly the Japanese porn star out there for, whatever, a private party, stuff like that. So don't fool yourself. The Japanese, remember I keep saying about the creme de la creme of Asia, Japan, generally speaking, not 100%, but generally speaking. Now let's go to something else here. Well, let's just do a quick thing again about the racism in China. Here we go. Now, of course, you don't want to come to conclusions. All you see is a picture there of, seems to be a black person and a monkey. So that technically is not racism on paper. Who knows? But I think whatever you're trying to conclude, you're probably correct, because that's China.
I have a dream. I want to go to the other country to work 3 months in some holiday. American, but I know American do not give me the chance and have the opportunity. I want to learn the other things. The other let the other people to work because
We're going to do a quick video about a black person. Generally, if you're a black person in Asia, you'll see the difference. This is a black woman. She's mixed, and she's talking about China, and she's an American, and she's trying to say positive things about the racism. I'm gonna give a comment. She's wrong, and she's not telling you the whole truth. But here it is. This is an American black woman in Shanghai.
Racism in China over. Actually, a lot of black people you'll talk to say they prefer the racism in China over back in the States.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of context to that, but let her speak, and I'll do my comments.
They perceive it to be differently because here they see it more as ignorance, whereas in the States it's more like hate. Like people actually hate you and like want to kill you or threaten you violently. But in China, it's more like it's just different.
Well, the first thing we could say is people, really, if I was a black person in America, I'd say black on black violence is a lot more than whites. And who do I think is probably more worried about violence and leaving? White people. We leave our cities, we leave our states, we leave the countries. But anyway, let her keep talking.
It doesn't seem like they hate you, especially when I speak Chinese. I can go almost anywhere and talk to people, at least in the places I've been so far, and people will kind of accept me, I guess. I don't know how else to explain that, but they won't be like, oh, get out of my store. They won't follow me around in the store and see if I'm trying to steal something. They won't, be rude to me. Now, that's not the case for all black people. Again, I'm the Obama black.
So the Obama black means she's mixed. And yes, the Chinese know very well about the mixed.
I guess that Chinese people are more comfortable with. So when you have kind of darker skinned black people, their experiences are much, much different than mine.
So what do I comment on that? Well, number one is if you're a black person in America, not only can you become an American citizen, you could literally become the president of America, like Obama. In China, you'll never become a citizen. If you're white, the same, but the blacks. Here's another reason. This stuff that happens in America and probably the West too, I don't know, murders, rapes, stealing, like all the violent crime that the black community does. How much do you think that happens in China? How much do you think the Chinese people, the Chinese police, and the Chinese government would allow? No. And also, by the way, to even get to China, well, for anyone, for me, for a black person, you have to go through so many hurdles to make sure, what's your job? Do you have insurance? Are you going to pay taxes? Stuff. So they know immediately you're going to be an add value. There's no refugees. There's no free handouts in China. And also another thing is there's so few black people, so few. But I can tell you something, if you're a black person in China, they are watching you, but they're not like Americans where if you step out of line in China as a black person, your life is over. And there are stories like that of America. There's a story of you'll find sometimes that particularly black athletes in America, maybe they were cut from their teams in America, and then they either want to play, because in the Chinese has a professional basketball team, professional soccer team, stuff like that. You could come here and you could actually play on the team like one or two foreigners, or you could be a coach. And some of them come over here and they got into some altercations, something as simple as a fist fight. This happened in Chengdu, where the people just came in there. There was a black guy. He's an American guy. The story's in the news. And I don't think he was doing anything wrong. And the Chinese just came in there and they were calling him nigger, stuff like that. And there was an altercation where I believe the Chinese hit him first. Well, doesn't matter, man. He hit them back. His life is over. So you have to remember too, they, I don't want to use the word traumatized, even though I just did, but the amount of stuff in the West, because again, who is the least racist people in the world? White people in the West. The amount of stuff that we've taken from women, from racial minorities, from immigrants, in terms of the tolerance that we've had is not even on the same dimensional. I mean, if a foreigner rapes a Chinese woman or beats up someone, I mean, the stuff that's happening in the West, immigrants, violent crime, that's what I'm saying. After living in China, it's hard for me to imagine, how can this be tolerated anymore? So I just want to put that a quote that part of the reason that the Chinese are not like up in arms with black people that maybe America is, they don't experience and they will not tolerate from the government any sort of behavior. In fact, I think it was after COVID or something, or no, it was, I don't even pay attention to this stuff. These, the Black Lives Matter. There was an attempt to form a Black Lives Matter movement in China. Well, that didn't go anywhere. That stuff is not tolerated here. So, the amount of, for the lack of a better word, I would just say black violence. Let's keep it simple. The amount of black violence, along with other, foreign immigrant violence, Arab violence, Muslim, but you name it. The amount of that's taken place in the West, to include Europe and America, compared to China, it's not even registered. It's not even registered. So what is that going to do? Well, it's going to affect the Chinese mindset. And also, by the way, the Chinese know these people are never going to become citizens. They're going to come and they're going to eventually go, because they're never as polite as the Chinese are. And I get it, many times they are. There's a difference when you go to someone's house and they treat you like a guest, which is good, but you're a guest. Never forget, this is not your house. And eventually, it's going to be time for you to go. That's how it is in China. All right, let's go to this one here.
You see, everyone's putting it. Hello.
So this one I want you to see that everyone's like, ha, yeah, and they're friendly. Remember, this guy coming in here is not exactly a white guy, but we'll explain it going through. But let's go.
Hello. You see, everyone's pointing at me saying, white girl. Oh, white girl. Hello.
So Waigoran means foreigner. So the story gets interesting quick. But of course, they're like Waigoran, foreigner. And he's in a small city, by the way, in China. Here we go. Let's go.
Hello.
So here's the key question. They just asked him, where are you from? And he said, Britain, meaning he's British. So in the West, what have we been accustomed to? It doesn't matter the color of your skin. You're British, you're American, you're French, you're this. Guess what the Chinese think? He looks kind of Indian, or, maybe he's from Turkey or stuff like that. But he might say he's from Britain, but they'll ultimately look at his race. And unless you're white, they don't consider you European or even American in these countries. But we've been brainwashed and we're like, well, our country's home to anyone because race doesn't matter. All right, let's see where that goes. But here we go.
英国的，你想吃辣条吗？
我不吃，谢谢。
对，
你中文说得很好。
我们在英国都会讲中文的，现在。
哦，
对，我在找我的朋友的家，找不到。
哪里？他给你发的定位是哪里？那给你发的定位我可以按在这里。
So and he speak and the British man, I'll say the British citizen. Obviously, he's not British because unless you're white or European, you're not British. But he's a British citizen. He seems to be speaking very fluent Chinese. But I just want you to know this. There he is. He's a foreigner. How much attention do you get walking down the street? It's enormous. Why? Because that's what life is in an ethno state. It's so homogeneous. Again, this is not negative, it is, but I'm just saying where we have been so bombarded with diversity is our strength, meaning forced diversity. In China, it is so monoculture, monoethnicity that when you're a foreigner walking down, now I have to admit, if you're walking down Beijing, now it's changed though, Beijing and Shanghai, foreigners have left. I was living in Shanghai at the time, Beijing, and this is the most expat area. I'd say one of the high times where, this was like 2013 and 14. There were a lot of foreigners. Now, if you're in that Shanghai or Beijing in that expat, these would be where the embassies are, the consulates, the most Western areas. It's not at that level. You'll still get looks here and there, but it's changed now because the foreigners left. But if you're in another city in China, absolutely, exactly what this is. They're going to be looking at you like you're some type of white tiger or some ghost. I mean, it's unbelievable. And what has that taught me? Well, it's taught me that our diversity in America has gone through the roof now. I mean, once you live in these mono-ethnic cultures where race is real, it's just, you look at America and you think we're done, especially when you have the MAGA party. These are the nationalists who can't even admit that race is real. Not very good. In fact, when we can't admit that race is real, if you remember, there was an interview with Tom Cotton. I'm not a fan of Tom Cotton. He was one of the original senators that I wrote my letter to asking for help. Totally ignored me, this guy, military veteran. There was an interview that Tom Cotton had with ByteDance, or I guess it would be the TikTok CEO from Singapore. And Tom Cotton sounded like a retard. He doesn't get it. We're going to watch that.
You said today, as
So again, we have to know this is the TikTok CEO. He is a Singaporean Chinese, and this is with Tom Cotton. And Tom Cotton, because this is what happened. Remember the video of Tommy Lauren and Trevor Noah? And remember, this is where the Republicans like to call the Democrats liberal retards. But that's where Trevor Noah's right. And he made Tommy Lauren look like a liberal retard because she doesn't recognize that race is real. When you don't recognize that race is real, eventually you're going to go down the path of retardation. That's where the Chinese will look at us retarded. This is Tom Cotton displaying his retardedness on display because he's the typical MAGA where he's like, citizenship is important, but race is, it doesn't matter what race you are. And because he can't acknowledge that, he's such a moron. And he doesn't want to acknowledge it because it's against the party line. Even Donald Trump, MAGA does not want to recognize that race is real and we have differences. And if you do that, you're going to go down the path of retardation.
you said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
That's pretty interesting. You think Tom Cotton would already have due diligence and even look up that he's a Singapore citizen. Also, just known to everyone, in Singapore, you are not, like China, allowed to have dual citizenships. And he knows it. I mean, this is a public hearing. If you're a Singapore citizen, say, well, I'm a Singapore citizen and I'm also a British citizen. You're gonna have the Singapore government do an immediate investigation on you. But you think this is Tom Cotton. This is Tom Cotton who wanted to be the CIA director. That was his goal, to be a CIA director. This is why he's keeping my story enclosed. This guy is in full military industrial complex. He's full Israel. This guy is a piece of shit, which makes you wonder, but David, you guys are two military veterans. Aren't American military veterans? Aren't you brothers in arms? Not even close. 50% of military veterans will split. This goes into the Civil War. I know I'm doing a tangent, but let's go back to Tom Cotton. Retardation full mode. Why? Because he can't recognize that race is real. A 3-year-old could do this stuff.
Singapore. Are you a citizen of any other nation?
Okay, so I mean, I don't know if Tom Cotton is trying to do his spooky CIA stuff, but if this guy right now admits that he has another citizenship, he's in big trouble. And open source, unless he's thinking he's hiding a citizenship, Singapore does not allow dual nationality. I mean, you have not done your due diligence on this, Tom Cotton. Okay, let's keep going.
No, Senator. Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
That's possible. You could apply. It's rare because I could tell you something. A lot of the Chinese are doing what's called investment immigration. They want to get to Singapore. Singapore's at the top. Remember that was where my visa has been permanently barred. Singapore is considered the Switzerland of Asia. Would a Singaporean give up his citizenship because China and go to China? This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is my Chinese expertise. This is Tom Cotton. He's probably had some due diligence before this. He's a senator. These are retarded questions. Would it be normal for a Singapore citizen to give up their citizenship and go to China? I've never heard of such a thing. It would be a shock around the world. But what about the opposite? A Chinese citizen going to Singapore, that's very normal, very normal. So he's like, are you a citizen of every other country? Well, he just said he's Singaporean. So unless he wants to put himself on the spot, and then he's like, well, have you applied for another citizenship to China? I don't know. Now, it's possible to apply to American citizenship as a Singaporean. You're going to have to give up your Singapore citizenship. It happens, not much, but it does happen. But let's keep going. The reason I'm putting this is the same thing with Tomi Lahren. Tomi Lahren is not a normal person. She's the spokesperson or Fox News for MAGA. This is Tom Cotton. This guy could have been the next CIA director. He's probably going to run for president. This guy is at the epitome of MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. This is pretty retarded. Here we go.
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
You could tell, and I gotta admit this, and trust me, I'm not a fan in many ways of Singapore, and they're pretty arrogant people. They're some of those racist people, but I have to admit, even this guy is probably thinking, is this Tom Cotton mentally retarded? This is one of the best America has. These are very retarded questions from Tom Cotton. Let's keep going.
You have a Singaporean passport.
Yes, I mean, I would say if you're a Singaporean citizen, you have a passport. Unless me, it's possible to be a citizen, but have your passport revoked. That's possible. But considering he's the CEO of TikTok, he's probably in good standings with Singapore. So in fact, how did he get to America? Probably with a passport. Anyway, keep going.
Yes, and I served my military for 2.
So in Singapore, which is similar to Switzerland, it's mandatory military service only for the men, and they have to serve. In fact, there's also an optional service you could serve in the police force. So you could serve either in the military or the police, but it's mandatory. I think if I remember, it's like 2 years, maybe 3 years. So nothing against him, but it's not voluntary, it's mandatory. If you are a Singapore citizenship and you're a male, you must serve it. In fact, if you are a permanent resident, so if you're a foreigner, a permanent resident, and your son gets born there, you have to serve. It's a different story. It's kind of complicated, but generally speaking, all male Singaporeans must serve in the military. And he's just trying to emphasize that, like, what are you talking about? I'm from Singapore. I'm a Singapore citizenship, born and raised. So do you not understand basic law? Singapore does not allow dual nationalities. Everyone knows that, at least those who study Asia or who's wants to be the director of the CIA, who's prepared for this meeting with his whole staff. You would think this information would be prepared. Anyway, let's keep going.
2.5 years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
No, because like I said, if you would do that, the Singapore government would do an immediate investigation. You're not allowed to have dual nationalities in Singapore. It's that simple, Tommy boy. You should know this. You've got your staff behind you that should done due diligence.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children.
Now, this is where it's key with his wife and children. Now, children in Singapore can be dual national under 18. Once they hit 18, they have to choose a citizenship. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Chinese and Singaporean are our friends kumbaya. I would never give them Western passports. His wife is an American citizenship, which is allowing him to operate in America. That's legal. There's nothing wrong with that by Singapore and America. So he's a Singapore citizen. His wife, who's Chinese, is an American citizen. Is there anything wrong with that? Not legally. And his children are going to be dual nationalities, but when they turn 18, they're going to have to decide, well, not for America, because America doesn't care. We can have, this is another reason why America is going down. We allow dual nationalities. It's very dangerous. But the Singapore government is going to force them to decide either the kids are going to be Singaporean or they're not. No dual nationality. Let's keep going on this.
American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Yeah, and it's possible. Like I said, now that is a more common sense question than what, notice his behavior. That's more common sense question than when Tom Cotton said, have you applied for Chinese citizenship? Wouldn't happen. Do Singaporean citizens apply for American citizenship and give up their Singapore? Yeah, it is. It's not normal, but he's like, yeah, but it's at least a reasonable question to ask. And he said no, which makes sense because like I said, in fact, do you know who the richest person in Singapore is? I forgot the name, but you remember the Facebook movie? I guess his name's Eduardo. Remember when Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, his partner, he screwed him over, stock? He actually gave up his American citizenship. It was also to save a lot of money in taxes. He gave up his American citizenship, acquired the Singaporean citizenship, and he lives in Singapore. He's the richest man in Singapore. It's in the movie too, if you saw the movie. He is the co-founder of Facebook. So definitely the Singapore citizenship is a top tier country. But occasionally a Singaporean may give up their Singapore citizenship and go to a tier 1 country like Europe or America. It's not normal. It's rare, but it happens. Has it ever happened the opposite, going to China? I have never heard about it, and it would be very retarded or very abnormal for that to happen, which goes to the retarded questioning by Tom Kahn. But anyway, it was a reasonable question. Have you ever applied for American citizenship? Which, how this pertains to the story, and he said, no, not really.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
No, you can't, because you have to be a Chinese citizen for that. But I'm sure Tom Kahn, the future CIA director, probably already knew that, or probably didn't, and he's making retarded questions.
I'm Singaporean. No.
He's trying to. This is where, remember, I keep saying about the Chinese, Singaporean Chinese, and again, I could do an entire video on Singapore. It's pretty interesting, but this is sort of the video where he's looking at Tom Kahn like, these are the most retarded questions. He's repeating it. He goes, didn't I just tell you over and over, I'm a Singaporean citizen? I cannot apply to be a member of the Chinese Communist Party because you have to be a citizen. Well, did you apply for citizenship in China? I mean, I guess you could ask that question, but it's kind of retarded. No, whereas when he said, did you apply for American citizenship? That is more reasonable. It doesn't happen much. But anyway, let's keep going on this.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator.
Oh, you mean like the Boeing Corporation is with the Chinese government working with them, or the Amazon Corporation working with them? I don't know what that means, affiliated, but I can tell you something. Our American corporations are fully affiliated with the Chinese government. Let me just explain this about with China. Even though America is changing, but in America's days, the private sector and the public sector were separate. It's changing. We are becoming, in many ways, as much as we look at the Chinese system and say evil, 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 we're copying it more and more because it's a winning system. Why? It's not communism. It's called National Socialism. But there's elements in our society that have not yet changed. I don't think ever will, meaning we're controlled by the corporations. But anyway, I was going to mention the point in that, but in terms of the corporation. So in China, if you were going to get rich in China, no matter what business it is, it has to be approved by the government. Meaning you have to be really good. Where possibly before in America, where it was the private sector, you could get rich and someone's like, hey man, how's your relationship with the government? I have no relationship with the government. I hate them. I won't be left alone. I'm a private businessman. Like, I don't know what you did. I open up, 15 restaurants and I'm in the restaurant business and I make money and I'm a private citizen and that's it. That was probably how it was in America, say 50 years ago. Now, if you're becoming a multinational corporation in America, you're fully tied to the American government. So it's changing. But in China, it's totally there. Nobody makes money in China unless you have good relations with the Chinese government, to include the American corporations. If you think these American corporations go there and say, we will not support the Chinese Communist Party, are you out of your fucking mind? I've never seen so many meetings of the American corporations kissing ass to the Chinese government. Now, there's nothing wrong kissing ass to another government per se, no, once again. But what's wrong is, what do they lecture us in America? The evil Chinese government, the evil CCP, they're communists, they're fascists, whatever that. Okay, then why are you in China working with them and kissing ass? Does anyone not see? Remember what I said? This people didn't believe me. Did you not see Donald Trump going to China, kissing ass? Or at least, if you don't like the word kissing ass because you're a MAGA person, you love Donald, you don't think Donald Trump placated and made some very positive, flattering comments to China, the Chinese government, to Xi Jinping's leadership? Of course he did. Well, that's not how you treat someone that's like evil. And who did he bring? All of his corporations. So, this whole thing like, do you have any relations with the Chinese government? Oh, you mean like the American corporations do? What are you talking about? Anyway, let's keep going.
Again, I'm Singaporean.
Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions.
So, there's another video. I should have kept going. There's another video on Tom Kahn where he didn't understand. Now, the reason why the key question asked is, listen, China owns ByteDance. which means they own TikTok. But I told you, and I don't want to waste time in this video, but I'm telling you, TikTok, when it's overseas, has much more control and influence over Western media and influence than you think. Because if you get into TikTok, which is part political, leadership, you have to pass through the gatekeepers. And so China knows that. So don't fool you. That's the reason I've been suspended. 4 accounts have been totally suspended on TikTok. As soon as I started talking about immigration, racism, or God forbid, talking about the Jews, I was immediately saying, you said, that doesn't make any sense. Because David, you just said those topics are totally fine in China. And also, isn't China trying to influence us? So they want to talk about that topics like racism drive us apart. Wouldn't that be good? Well, maybe the way you talked about it, but the problem is China doesn't control TikTok as much as you think overseas. And they know if they want to operate TikTok in Europe and America, they have to abide by the gatekeepers. And who are these gatekeepers? It could be government regulation from the West, or it could be from private entities that are controlling now TikTok. And guess what they are? They are part of the globalist West, and they don't want those topics being discussed. This is what is another topic. But anyway, let's go to this. What I wanted to do is I wanted to end with 2 nice videos. People think sometimes I'm with China, I'm against China. Sometimes I speak negative. China is a cool country. It is. But if you're not Chinese ethnicity, it's never going to be your home, which is fine. It's them. It's a lot of times white people. We want our own home. That's what I'm saying. It's time for us. Taiwan, Beijing, Ukraine, Russia, Iran, Israel. It's like, whatever, let them do what they got to do. We just want many times to keep our tax money and to build a home for ourselves. And who's us? Generally speaking, I would say European people. I have no problem with other people. I think they're great. I have no problem with the Palestinians, but it's time for us to focus our efforts on our home. Do we have a home for white people? No. Try to do it. Good luck on that. But anyway, let's do a nice video on China. It is a beautiful country. It's a lot of history. It's taught me a lot in terms of about leadership. Let's do one video. We're going to do this video that's very pleasantry, and then we'll do one final video that's got a comedic end to it.
If you like mystery, if you like eating, go to Chengdu. If you like history, go to Xi'an. If you like mystery, go to Dunhuang. If you like royalty, go to Beijing. If you like chaos, go to Chongqing. If you like sweets, go to Suzhou. If you like color, go to Lijiang. If you like peace, go to Dali. If you like fashion, go to Shanghai. If you like fairy tales, go to Harbin. If you like the future, go to Shenzhen. If you like scooters, go to Haikou. If you like art, go to Hangzhou. If you like beauty, go to Guilin. If you like magic, go to Zhangjiajie. If you like calm, go to Yangzhou. If you're in love, go to Xiamen. If you want nature, go to Juzhego. If you like luxury, go to Sanya. If you like paradise, go to Shangri-La. If you like beaches, go to Qingdao. If you want to see China, don't just visit one city, because every city has its own soul. Set a goal to see all these places with your own eyes. Share this video with someone you'd love to travel with. If you're not following.
So I've been to every single province in China except Tibet. Tibet requires, well, I never had a business reason to go to Tibet, so it would be more like tourism. And you need an extra visa to go there because Tibet, based on the history, so I've never been to Tibet, even though I live close to it, but everywhere, even like Xinjiang, I've met the Uyghurs there, which is a sensitive topic. We can go back and forth. Genocide, I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but it is what it is. But anyway, it's a beautiful country. The one thing you have to remember that's different than America is you are only going to be a guest. As long as you're fine with that, which I am, I'm fine. The problem is you also look and say, if I can only be a guest in your country, well then, and this is not just about China, it's everyone, Indians, Muslims, you name it. Well, I don't want them, if we can only be guests, I've said this many times, if we cannot become a citizen in your country, why should I allow you to become a citizen in mine? I don't want to deviate, but I do want to make the point. China is a fantastic country. It's changed me. I said many times, the military in China has probably had the two biggest impacts on me. But you got to remember, because you find also these liberal retards, these Democrats, they always praise China. Look at China. That's the model of the future. I mean, okay, but it's an ethno state. The liberals don't want to talk about that. It's an ethno state, and they don't want multiculturalism. They don't want multiracialism. And so I'm fine. I like it. Well, I'm not going to say there's some things I don't like about it, but generally speaking, if the system in China is not working, then why are they increasing in power, economics, and security? And why are we? I mean, there's something about their formula that's working. What do I think? Well, I think when Mao Zedong died, communism was changed into something called National Socialism, fascism, which has such an evil term. I mean, even MAGA, even MAGA now are on witch hunts for Nazis. It's like MAGA now. MAGA now is anti-Nazi. It's like our job, if you're Adolf Hitler, if you're a Nazi, we're out to get you. It's like, what? It's like, I thought you guys were not. I mean, it's getting that bad. But what is the political ideological system of China? It's National Socialism. Well, if this system is so bad, then how is China becoming more powerful? And if this system's so evil, why would even Trump's son, Eric Trump, saying, it's such an honor to be in China. It's such an honor to meet Xi Jinping. I don't know. I thought these guys were evil then. I thought National Socialism is evil. I thought fascism is evil. Do you get what I'm point? We don't have any values in America. It's all about the money. But I like China. But China's already has also taught me another lesson. That ain't my home. I'm like, why? No, it wasn't my dream. But yeah, I said, why can't China be my home? Which also goes to China. Because I'm not racially Chinese. Does that not sound as the most racist element you've ever heard? You know what the Chinese would say? Sorry, that's who we are. You call us what we want. And you know what I thought? Yeah, there's some sense into that. And that's also found a lot of non-Western countries. God forbid, though, you do that in the West. But we can't even get, and we're talking MAGA. MAGA, the people who always like to talk about liberals as libtards. These people are lunatics. The Trump derangement. You want to put Trump derangement system? You know what the Trump derangement system is from the nationalists? Start talking about race. Start talking about a topic like Adolf Hitler. Just say, why was Adolf Hitler bad? Just bring these topics up. Just want to learn. And guess what will happen? That's the Trump derangement system. These MAGA people will go nuts. We're like, oh, he's a Nazi. Well, what is a Nazi? Explain it. If you told me what is a Nazi, the first thing come to my mind is the Chinese. Who are modern day Nazis? The Chinese. Are they evil? Well, Donald Trump and the MAGA people want to go to Beijing and kiss ass. So if Nazis are so evil, then probably we should be decoupling from China. And even American citizens like, I don't support Nazis. Well, stop buying your made in Chinese product where that money goes to the Chinese government. But why don't Americans stop buying Chinese goods? And why did Trump and the MAGA team go to Beijing? And why are American globalist companies operating in China? Because we really don't have any morals. It's all about the money. So then ask yourself, what is a better system? Even though China, there could be some horrific things, but at least there is a moral ground. I just feel like we're a corporation. And as long as there's money, we like them. And if there's no money, then we'll come up with a reason to destroy you. But we really don't have any values. Anyway, let's go to the last video of China, and this will be comedic. This is a nice Chinese girl who's saying, welcome to China, big white man.
手不痛苦那是假的，毕竟我的心也是肉做的。你离开时，我心里的彩虹就变成灰色。
So I'll translate that for you. She's like, big white man, please come to China and have sex with me. But Chinese girls, fun, fun, fun. Not a fan of mixed race kids. That's another video. So, it's a free country. You want to go to China, have mixed race kids. Not a good idea. Believe me now, believe me later. But what do I think Chinese girls are in terms of sex? Fun, fun, fun. Anyway, this is David Baumblatt talking about what do we want to try to do? Because it doesn't matter how we look at China or even the world. If we cannot come to a common sense conclusion that race is real, just like gender is real, how do we begin the conversation in America? We don't. I think it's going to split. 350 million people of diversity. We're never coming together, people. It's like a divorce. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until you realize that the marriage is pretty much over. And if people said, how did this happen? Because remember they say, because we can't communicate. If just like the MAGA say that if you don't believe gender is real, you're a liberal retard. Guess what? Why can't we have that with race? Well, all we're saying is it real? And are we different? That's it. Not better, not worse, not superior, not inferior. We're just different. And I can tell you something. What would the Chinese say? They would call you retarded if you cannot see that. They just don't know how to deal with you, and that's how me. This is David Baumblatt from Turbulent Leadership. Hope to give you more views on China and other topics. Until then, to the Patriots, lead to victory.